Hi guys, welcome to the Overdrive Digital Show. Manu, Lazy Wanderer, Akshay, Fezam, thank you so much for waiting and joining us today. Now, just before the strict regulations paralyzed all movement in Maharashtra, Rohit spent some quality time with Kawasaki's updated litre-class superbike. We've got the story for you. Just remember to send us any of the questions that you might have. Bert and Rohit will be joining us shortly to answer all of your questions. Take a look at the video.
Litre-class super sport machines, the quintessential performance icons. The flagship that every motorcycle maker wants to show off as the halo bike. This right here is Kawasaki's 2021 ZX-10R. It's natural for anyone to expect the technologies of the flagship to filter down to the smaller vehicles in the portfolio, but the H2 only lends the 10R its aerodynamic bodywork and not the supercharger, because the World Superbike Championship simply wouldn't allow it. But the outgoing engine and chassis combination has won 6 world titles for Kawasaki. That's not luck, that's pure domination. And if Jonathan could win so many championships without a supercharger, I don't see a reason why anyone else should complain about the lack of it on the new 10R. Kawasaki have yet again gone with the why fix it if it ain't broke attitude. The engine and the chassis have been carried forward with very minor advancements. So if you think about it, the new 10R gets all the aerodynamic advantages of the H2 while it gets its mechanicals derived WSBK race winning motorcycle. So you want brag rights? There are plenty of them. Let's start listing them down. The mean green machines may not have the MotoGP connections anymore, but there is tech from the Premier Class Racing neatly integrated into that bodywork. Unlike the ungainly wings seen on the most new Supersport monsters, the 10R neatly integrates these next to the tiny-eyed LED headlamps, with the exhaust for this airflow achieved with the gills below the handlebars. So on the previous 10R, if you've complained about a floaty feel under hard acceleration or coming hard out of corners, all of that is ideally sorted with this particular motorcycle. It feels nice and agile. Now to put numbers to all of that, those winglets that you see here, they give this motorcycle about 17% extra downforce, whereas the overall aerodynamic efficiency has gone up by 7%. To that effect, the new visor gives you 40mm more headroom to tuck behind, which seems to work best if you're under 6 feet tall. Unlike the previous bike, it doesn't need vents around the screen to reduce drag and buffeting either. The engine's gone more silent now thanks to the new emissions. And the low end is softer than before. And that has been geared such for 2 reasons. 1, to give it the motorcycle a more tidy acceleration, and 2, to preserve the tires, because these Bridgestone RS11s are sticky rubber designed for both road and track, which makes them slightly softer than the regular road rubber on other motorcycles. While brutal acceleration would make you laugh out loud inside the helmet, unevenly worn tires mean that the handling characteristics won't feel great for long. But the sober low end also means that around tight bends or tracks, you may feel the need to keep the engine on the boil all the time. To that effect, the mid and the top end are just as strong as you would expect of a premier litre class machine, meaning that the motorcycle is always likely to have more power than your skills. Should you need to go all guns blazing for drag races or race starts though, there is the Kawasaki launch control module, activated by simply pressing the mode and the selector switches simultaneously. Engaging it will lock the engine speed at 8000 RPM, gather the courage to dump the clutch, and the bike will launch towards the horizon, and it can hit 100 km an hour from standstill in less than 3 seconds, or 200 in under 10. My guts could only manage the sprint in 3.2 seconds. 8 more runs and I would have probably burst them. The fact that the 10R is still one of the most compact and therefore cramped feature-class track tools only makes it worse. It will take less than 3 seconds to tell you how unfit you are, with all the muscles in your body starting to cramp up. If you have a lean racer board though, you might appreciate the revised ergonomics. The weight bias has been shifted 0.2% to the front, the seat is a bit steeper, the handlebars are flatter and move forward, there are minor modifications to the trail, the foot pegs have moved up, and the swing arm is longer by 8mm and has a pivot point that has moved down by 1mm to achieve a longer wheelbase. All these changes have made the riding posture a bit aggressive. But you would have to ride the new machine and the older one back to back to understand the differences, especially in the front end. Now, if the foot pegs, they feel a bit too high up for you, or if the handlebars feel a bit too cumbersome, need you to stretch out, get you to look awkwardly into a corner, in that case, the solution is simple. You just need adjustable pegs and bars. Further changes to the chassis elements come in the form of marginally softer springs in the Proven Showa balance free forks and a stiffer rear spring. Both ends of the suspension are fully adjustable, and even out of the box, you will be astonished at how well damped the feeling is for a super sport on the street, without compromising on the track-worthy handling characteristics. I have had fancier electronic suspension feel more bone-jarring than some of the Ninja's rivals. In comparison, this one doesn't feel like that, but the electronic suspension can be adjusted at the touch of a button. This one is going to need tools, which is easy, and knowledge, which is difficult. After all, Kawasaki can't give you everything at this price, can they? But they have still managed to blow the competition out of the water on this one. Despite being one of the most affordable litre-class machines out there, it has all the electronics that you can think of. The aforementioned launch control, a lean-sensitive ABS and traction control system, and an electronic steering damper. The IMU is 6-axis too, so many riders who have complained about frequent high sides on the 2016 to 2019 10Rs should find the new one a lot more reliable. Oh, and there is even the customizable engine brake control. But I found the latter to be a bit iffy. What I simply love is the quick shifter. It feels slicker than a Ducati or even the kind of blades that Ninjas like to play with. Take your pick. Even for clutchless upshifts or downshifts at slow engine speeds, it feels nice and smooth. It's not clunky at all, unlike some of its rivals. And there's also cruise control now. So if you want to nurse your wrists or those muscle aches, well, you can do that with the cruise control, and like most new age Kawasaki's, you can also turn off the cruise control simply by closing the throttle an extra degree. There's also a simple yet functional TFT dash similar to all new Kawasaki's, and it pairs with your phone for Bluetooth telephony and ride logging. And though there is a programmable shift light right above it, the tachometer isn't as legible as the brightly lit unit on the outgoing motorcycle. But the bottom line is, the 10R is loaded to its gills whether or not you like silicon trickery, and having all of this at this particular price point simply makes its class rivals sound illogical. So how does it all come together? Exceptionally well. The Ninja is easily the most friendly litre-class supersport for the road. It soaks in all the bumps surprisingly well, brakes well even on undulated surfaces, and on smoother patches of tarmac, it drops the anchor with authority. So I'm not complaining about the lack of the Brembo Stylema calipers over the relatively old M50s that the 2021 10R continues to use. Interestingly, you won't have to summon these brakes as often as the outgoing model to get sure-footed turn-ins into a corner. The revised geometry makes the 10R significantly nimbler and sharper than before, needing much lesser effort to chuck this monster into a corner than something like the S1000RR or the Ducati V4. And while the quieter exhaust and the superb aerodynamics may make the motorcycle deceptively fast, the Ninja does feel like a 213 PS monster whether or not you exploit that ram air induction. So your supersport buddies could make fun of you, make jokes about the tail being too similar to the outgoing bike, not too many changes on the new machine. But then again, you can rub it in their face by making sure that that taillight is the only thing that they can see, because the new 10R is totally capable of doing all that. You don't have to take my word for it. All you need to do is tune into WSBK and let Johnny do all the talking.
Well, I do hope you enjoyed that story. Let's get Bert and Rohit on the show. I see there's a lot of discussion that's going on the side.
Hi guys.
Hello Sohini, hello Bert.
Hey Rohit. Hi Sohini. Hi everyone out there.
So we're going to be publishing this story. The story will premiere at 7:30 p.m. Rohit will be answering all the questions live then as well, in case you missed out on this story. Go ahead, Bert. You were asking Rohit something.
Oh, nothing. Lots of questions coming Rohit's way though.
Yeah, looks like it. More than happy to take.
All right. Let's start off with one which comes from Akshay. He wants to know, with all weather roads, concrete coming all over around us, should the manufacturers think of reworking towards suspension and tires?
Well, if you're talking about if you're talking about these kind of machines, one, they are going to be available in India in very limited quantities. So obviously, they're not going to make much of a change to the tires or the suspension for concrete roads in particular. And if anything, the surface, the concrete roads are marginally better, marginally easier on the suspension compared to some of the more poor road conditions that we throw at these kind of motorcycles, no matter what kind of bikes we're talking about, super sports, adventure. But yes, most Indian manufacturers have now started taking account of this. More to do with the tires more than the suspension, really, where they are making sure that the grip levels of these tires are much better, especially in the wet, because concrete roads with a wet surface can get quite tricky, especially for motorcycles, not so much for cars, but for bikes, it can get tricky if it's not done right. And that's why a lot of Indian tire manufacturers have started working towards this, quite actively. As for the suspension, a properly set up machine, when the suspension is set up right, it will take a lot of effort away from the tires as well when it comes to grip, if the suspension is set up right. And here I'm talking about, of course, extreme leans and, really riding in a sporty manner. But for regular use, as long as your suspension is tuned right and your tires are in the right shape, you shouldn't have a problem at all. Like I mentioned, even in this review, that the Bridgestone RS11s that this bike ships with, or some of the Triumphs that we've seen that come with the Pirelli Rosso Corsa tires, or even my Daytona, when it originally came, it came with the Super Corsa SP2 tires. Now these are track tires, or these are tires that are made for road and track use, and they have a relatively lesser wet weather performance compared to the proper road tires. You might have heard us talking about something like the Michelin Pilot Road 5 a lot of times, or tires like the Pirelli Rosso 2, Rosso 3, or Bridgestone's own S22s. They are more roadworthy in that sense. And when we say more roadworthy, we are talking about the compound being a little more harder, so that they endure the road can a longer period of time without really losing their shape. And they also have better gutters or better tread pattern for dissipating the rainwater, and that gives you better wet weather grip as well. So you would have to make sure that you choose the right tires. For example, when I bought my Daytona, the first thing that I did was replace the SP2s with Rosso 2s, because I knew that the Daytona is going to be more of a road bike for me. I'm not going to be frequenting the track that often. So what you choose will also make a lot of difference. Just because your motorcycle is shipped with it doesn't necessarily mean that might be the right tire for the kind of road that you're going to be riding on. So Akshay, your question is absolutely valid. So if most of the roads that you're going to be riding on are going to be concrete, you might want to get something that's a little bit grippier if you're going to be riding your motorcycle in the rains as well. And I hope you do. If you do that, then you might want to get something that is more road biased and not so much that is a track biased tire. And you should be perfectly fine. And like I said, every motorcycle, if it has adjustable suspension, it's a very good idea to make sure that you adjust the suspension to your particular weight, your particular riding style, so that your motorcycle behaves the way it was intended to. And then I don't think you should have any loss of grip or any unintentional loss of grip from your motorcycle if you set everything right.
In fact, Rohit, he had a follow-up question as well. He wanted to know, sorry, I'm facing some sort of lag, so I'm not being able to see the question myself. Can you see the question on the screen now?
I just saw the question on the screen. So I don't know. Very frankly, we live between Pune and Bombay, and we use the expressway quite often for cars, and certain sections of that expressway are mandatory to be used for motorcycles as well, because of lack of alternative roads. And very frankly, if I was given an option, I may not want to really ride on the expressway, with motorcycles at all, irrespective of the capacity, whether it's 400, 650, thousands, whatever it may be. I'm not very sure if I would want to ride on the expressway, because purely because I'm not very comfortable with the kind of road quality that it offers. The tarmac still feels a lot better to me on the motorcycle, even in terms of the grip that it offers. Especially the Bombay-Pune expressway, it is quite bumpy. So even when you're talking about legal highway speeds, 120, 130, there is quite a bit of movement from the suspension that you get on that road. So if it's a street bike, if it's a normal adventure bike, it's still fine. But something like a super sport, which is maybe slightly more stiffly sprung for sportier riding dynamics, there it starts feeling a little weird, because it starts tracking around, it starts swaying quite a bit, and I wouldn't want that kind of movement to be happening from my motorcycle if I'm not intending that movement, really. So I'm not very sure if I would be in for having motorcycles on the expressway. We also have to keep in mind that we've seen that with the cars as well, that you will have a lot of people getting onto the expressway, and then driving at speeds that are probably equivalent to a walk in the park. You will have even cars like the Tata Nanos and the Altos, which are ideally city cars, coming onto the expressway and driving at about 40 kilometers an hour, 50 kilometers an hour in the right lane, in the overtaking lane. In the middle of all this, do you want to add motorcycles to it as well? Not everyone may be a responsible rider. Not everyone might ride in a proper way and in the proper lane. So I don't know. I think we'll just add to that madness a little bit more and make it a little bit more dangerous for everyone, is what I particularly feel. If we can have dedicated roads for two-wheelers and four-wheelers separately, I think that would be a better bet in my books.
Apurv wants to know how's the ZX-10R to ride on a daily basis, given the committed ergonomics.
Right, Apurva. So let's get this straight. That most litre-class super sport machines, or most super sport machines for that matter, anything from an R15 all the way up to the 10Rs and the H2s of the world, the super sport is always going to be more committed. So it's certainly not going to be as comfortable as riding a street naked with straight handlebars, or an adventure bike which has a lot more suspension travel as well. So it's certainly not going to be as comfortable as that. So once you're okay with that form factor to begin with, then if I were to compare it to maybe something like the S1000RR or the V4 from Ducati, this one feels a lot more manageable. This one feels a lot easier to ride. It is still one of the more compact litre class machines out there, but most of them are now getting smaller and more compact. It does feel cramped, but compared to the others, it's not as bad. I can live with it if I have to. In fact, when we shot this video, I think we spent almost 14 hours shooting this motorcycle, because we began really early in the morning. I left home at 4 o'clock with this motorcycle, and I came home in the evening after sunset. So 14 hours, and one of those PTCs, or one of the Piece2 cameras that you see where I'm sitting on one of the steps, believe me, that was the only time that I could actually sit somewhere that was not a motorcycle seat. All the other times I was on the motorcycle, and at the end of 14 hours, yes, my back was aching. But honestly, I have spent lesser time on some of the other super sport machines, and it's literally, left me with no intentions of riding a motorcycle for the next week or so. Thankfully, the ZX-10R did not do that for me. So yeah, out of the current crop of litre class motorcycles, I think it is one of the most manageable bikes for everyday use as well. Though, would you really want to take a litre class machine to office, a litre class super sport bike to office? I don't know. It doesn't heat up that much in city traffic, but I still wouldn't do that. I would still go with something more comfortable. But if you really have to do that, this is the more manageable motorcycle. Now, all this while saying that I haven't ridden the new Triple R, the Fireblade Triple R, and the reason I'm making a mention is because right from its inception, the Fireblade has been the benchmark to beat when it comes to a litre class super sport bike that is also easy to use for your regular city commutes or city use. But I haven't ridden the new Triple R. But if I were to compare the new 10R to the previous Fireblade, I think I would still take the 10R any day.
All right, I'm going to ask you a question about Kawasaki itself. There are three questions that I'm going to Toss to you. One is from Asif. He wants to know any update about the Kawasaki 250cc inline motorcycle. There's one from Akshay. Is the Versys X300 the BS6 variant coming to India? And what is the date? When can we expect the Ninja 400 to come to the Indian market?
Okay, so I'll go one by one. I'm guessing that Asif is asking us about the 250 inline 4, the ZX25RR. I think ZX25RR is what it's called, if I'm not wrong. That motorcycle is not coming to India. In fact, any of the inline 4 250s are not coming to India. So rule that out. That's not happening. The Ninja 300 in its BS6 avatar is already here. The 400 could follow suit because we recently had a word with Kawasaki when we picked up the 10R, and they sort of hinted that they are not making much of a change to the portfolio. Whatever is possible in the BS6 tune, they will bring it to India. So that also sort of answers the X300. Though I don't see the point of that motorcycle, because every other motorcycle in that entry space right now is doing much better than what the X300 could manage, purely given the pricing of that motorcycle. So I'm not very sure about the X300 coming to India in its BS6 avatar. But like I said, Kawasaki has told us that whatever they can, they will certainly look at bringing those bikes with a BS6 tune. So yeah, if you are really waiting for the Versys X300, then maybe keep your fingers crossed. Kawasaki might just bring it back, but no concrete word so far.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, there's a question from Lazy Wanderer. He wants to know, there are rumors of Isuzu bringing the updated V-Cross on 10th. But there's also chatter about a more affordable variant. Will it get the engine from the commercial variant or just a stripped down version?
Well, on the 10th, yes, there are rumors, not just rumors. In fact, the car is already ready and waiting in Delhi, but it's just the situation is such that I think a few of these plans will get postponed. They may not do even a soft launch at this point in time, because it just makes no sense. Someone's going to go into a dealership and look for a car. But the new V-Cross is, of course, the updated one is there and it's ready, and we'll hear a lot of news about it very, very shortly. There will also continue to be, they will rather offer a more affordable variant, and we don't have the specifications of what that variant is going to be like. Whether it will have it will definitely not be the more cheaper or the last generation engine. They can't do that. Keep that in mind. They still have to go with the BS6 engine, so that is definitely not, that is out of the option. Again, stripped down version, yes, they will offer a very basic version as well, but they've already introduced the pickups for the commercial vehicle segment. So that was the first entry that they brought in, and very shortly now, the full lifestyle luxury V-Cross will come in. I don't think there will be a more stripped down version than this at all.
Rohit Dodo Samuel wants to know, is there an upgrade to the X-Pulse they are offering?
Well, Dodo, you have already heard. I'll not say rumors. You already heard the news that Hero is working on a bigger motorcycle, somewhere in the 350 to 450cc range, is what we hear so far. They've already shown early images of the chassis that that motorcycle will bring, and that I think is going to be the only upgrade, so to say, that will come into the X-Pulse lineup. I don't think they're going to do much to the current X-Pulse 200. But that motorcycle has some big names working on it, some big experts working on it. So yeah, there is something to look forward to, and that should be one exciting motorcycle.
All right, and Gaurav wants to know, when can we expect the new ZX-10R?
Well, again, like I said, I'm not yet sure on what Kawasaki's plans are higher up the order, because most of these motorcycles will now, barring the ZX-10R, which is literally one of their best sellers, the higher end motorcycles, they will be only against order, is probably what their new line of business is going to be. Like the H2, the ZH2, they're all going to be against order. So I'm not very sure about the ZX-14 in its BS6 tune. I don't even know if it exists.
Got it. And here's one more from Aniket. He wants to know, Honda is set to bring an ADV on the Hornet's platform. Will it be an off-roader like the X-Pulse, or will it just be a Hornet with a longer suspension travel?
Okay, Aniket, I think that it will certainly not be an off-roader like the X-Pulse. I'm sorry, I can't recall the name, the CX-02 or something of that sort. That was the concept that they showed at one of the auto expos. It looked more like the X-Blade with slightly longer travel suspension. But I think now they will do that similar kind of a treatment on the Hornet platform. But yes, they are working on something on those lines. So it will be more of, let's call it a sport tourer, an adventure tourer, where it's still got those sporty ergonomics from the Hornet carried over, but with slightly longer travel suspension. So no, it's not going to be an off-road motorcycle, but it's going to be more of a motorcycle that has slightly longer travel suspension, slightly roomier seats, more comfortable seats. I think that is what they're going to do. So think about it more on the lines of, I'm going to get a lot of hate for saying this. Think about it to be more on the lines of what the KTM 250 Adventure is, or the 390 Adventure is, where they're not proper off-roaders. They're more of, adventure tourers, GTs, something of that sort, but certainly not as capable as those motorcycles. This will be still toned down quite a bit. So just what they did with the CV350 RS, half scrambler, half road sailing, and whatever they wanted to call it. So it's going to be something like that. It will be essentially a Hornet with long travel suspension. You've got it spot on.
But Kushal wants to know, what's the status of the Volkswagen T-Cross launch in India?
Well, the status is that all of these launches have been deferred for a little while. They've all been pushed back. Again, keep in mind, we were from the Volkswagen group, the Skoda Volkswagen group for that matter. There was all of these were lined up for launches and introductions over these next few months, and several of them all of them, in fact, for that matter, have been delayed simply because we've not been able to drive them. One of them was the Octavia, the new Octavia was coming in, and that has been pushed again because those drives also haven't taken place. The Kushaq, of course, has also got pushed back. T-Roc, which is supposed to come out, the new version of it, that also has been pushed back. Tiguan's been pushed back. All of these have been pushed further ahead. So I think we will have a little bit of information on this, a little bit of information coming your way after the 15th of May. That is if the lockdown is lifted off and movement is allowed again and people are allowed to do certain things and certain activities. Then I definitely see some announcements coming in from the Skoda Volkswagen group. But until then, well, we just have to keep our fingers crossed and wait for the lockdown to lift off.
That we have yet another question for you, Rohit, from Nick Wanderer. Everyone is wanting to wander away. I'm seeing everybody's name is similar. Any news on the 650 Himalayan launch?
Well, he's a wanderer and he wants to know about the Himalayan, a bigger Himalayan, of course. Nick, no news of a 650cc Himalayan. In fact, the last bit of news that we heard from the RE camp, unofficially, of course, was that the 650 Himalayan may not happen at all because they're unable to get the kind of tune that they want from that engine to fit into the Himalayan scheme of things. You want that slightly better low end and mid-range performance, and they're unable to get that kind of a performance and the kind of weight distribution that they want from this particular motor, and they're unable to get that whole chassis and engine combination right, is what I was told, is what I hear from inside Royal Enfield. But again, we've been harping on this every now and then, that Royal Enfield has been saying that every quarter, if everything goes as per plan, of course, now lockdowns happening, third wave coming in, we don't know how things are going to pan out, but the target was that every quarter this year, they want a new motorcycle out into the market. But I don't know. I don't think that 650cc Himalayan is going to be happening anytime soon. We have that 650cc Cruiser certainly coming on that platform, but will an adventure variant come out on that 650 platform? I'm still not sure because I'm not hearing very good things about it.
Okay, here's a good question from Rahul Samuel. He wants to know about LED lights for mopeds. Usually, even in the city, people use high beams that blind someone coming from the opposite side. Are we compromising safety of other riders here for light throw or looks?
But do you want to take that?
Well, okay, let me tell you this. Now, yes, LED lights can be pretty disturbing, whether it's on a four-wheeler or on a two-wheeler, and that's also because the LED light, the area that it works in, or that it operates in, is quite disturbing to the human eye, and the brightness and the glare is quite strong. It can tire out your eyes. One, it can also distract you from driving or riding, or rather, the person who's oncoming, who's facing that light. So it is an issue. Now, for mopeds, I'm not so the thing about mopeds, but in general as well, yes, LED lights work very nicely where you've got, it gives you great signature looks for as daytime running lamps. But for headlamp purposes, I think the next generation or the future that's coming in is, for instance, is matrix lights, which essentially identify if there is another object or the light is disturbing somebody ahead, and it can cut off, those particular LEDs and reduce the glare, or not distract that person, the oncoming rider. So I think that's one big advantage, or rather one big technological change that's coming up towards, how would I say it, very high intensity lighting, vehicular lighting for that matter. But yes, we are compromising safety. Now, I've got an LED light on my scooter itself, driving the TVS Scooty Pep, and on that scooter, the LED, the daytime running light, the LED, if I don't switch on the headlamps, the LED is quite powerful, it's quite strong, and it can be very, very distracting. And I've noticed this on a lot of the scooters as well, and a lot of people utilize these LEDs to continue riding, or they just prefer to stay with the LEDs on rather than using the headlamps. Keep in mind the headlamps that you get on two-wheelers, especially scooters, motorcycles, or even mopeds for that matter. Even if they're halogens for that matter, they're directional lights. The light is thrown on the road in front of you. The LED lamps that you get on these two-wheelers, they are spread lights. They're just meant for decorative purposes, but they are bright enough to be very distracting. So yes, to everyone out there, ideally keep sticking to halogens. There are good halogens. There are more focused halogens. You get better lights in the aftermarket as well, which will get you better not just focus, spread, and intensity as well, without actually having to distract or disturb oncoming riders and drivers.
All right, we'll just go through the news from this week, and you can keep sending us your questions. We'll answer them very shortly. Let's start off with Mahindra. Mahindra is setting up a new advanced design center in UK, which is being called the Mahindra Advanced Design Europe, and will be operational from July this year. This facility is the latest move in the 3,000 crore rupee investment plan made by Mahindra to shore up its infrastructure and products. This new design center will work in conjunction with Mahindra's other design outposts, like the Mahindra Design Studio in Mumbai and Pininfarina Design in Italy. Given the West Midlands region is a hub for numerous design studios, Mahindra will draw from the fresh pool of talent churned out by some of the reputed design institutes in the region. The new center will be the design hub for the new EV SUVs and other new mobility products, both in the personal and commercial segments that Mahindra has plans for over the next few years. Moving on, after almost 2 decades, Skoda has unveiled the new 4th generation Fabia. It's based on the Volkswagen Group's modular MQB AO platform. Is larger than the outgoing model. It's 111mm longer and 48mm wider than the previous model, with a 94mm increase in wheelbase, and also claims to offer class-leading 380 liters of boot space, which can be increased to 1,190 liters. The Fabia boasts of adjustable cooling shutters in the front bumper, helping the car reach a class-leading 0.28 drag coefficient. Wheel choices range from 14 to 18 inches, including 2 more aero-efficient designs. The cabin gets a new 10.25-inch cockpit, dual-zone climate control, optimized storage, and a folding front passenger seat. The car can be spec'd with up to 9 airbags, aside from adaptive cruise control, up to 210 kmph, and blind spot assist and park assist. The car will be available in 5 engine options from a 1-liter MPI to the 1-liter TSI and 1.5-liter TSI. And while at present Skoda has no plans to bring this Fabia to India, that could very well change once the Kushaq and the new Rapid sedan launch in the country. Talking about the Kushaq, Skoda India has pushed back the launch date of this SUV till July of this year. The 4th generation Octavia that was supposed to launch this month has also been pushed back. Over to you, Bert. Let's talk about the Renault.
Yeah, Sohini. So Renault's electric plans now very big plans, because I just had on a global conference yesterday where they not announced but effectively reiterated their commitment to electrification and the way they're going to go about it. So they're going to be introducing about 7 new vehicles which will which will come up over the next few years, that is around 2026. Now, these are largely all European models, and starting off, though of course they will, that electrification plan will also be supported by a hybridization plan as well. There are a lot of their cars that are in the market right now, which is the Megane and some of the other cars that they've got as well, the Kangoo. Will all get the E-Tech technology. This is a new generation hybrid technology, quite revolutionary also for that matter. This will be offered in those cars. Now, the big question over here is whether this will be coming down to India, but there are no plans right now for it to come down to India. From what I understand is Renault in India will be moving straight from their IC engine platforms to the EV platforms. Now, the EV plans also, again, all of that has been delayed for a little while because of certain issues internally, and as well as, of course, the COVID and the COVID situation that has overtaken us globally for that matter. There are supply chain issues, but Renault is trying to address them as well. Now, to tell you more about the hybridization of the E-Tech plans, now this is again, E-Tech is something that Renault has been working on with their Formula One cars as well in motorsports, and some of those is being developed over there, of course, and that's essentially what you're seeing again in their production cars. Now, this is both in as plug-in hybrids as well as full hybrids for that matter. But what Renault also saying is that the range is fairly efficient in this. It increases quite considerably, so you improve efficiency by about 80% in urban conditions, and you're reducing fuel costs by almost about 40% by using the E-Tech technology. Now, both powertrains, there's several powertrains also that they're offering, but two significant powertrains are the 1.6 liter petrol engine. But more importantly, Renault is working on a new 1.2 liter hybrid motor. Now, this hybrid motor, I'm very keen to see what happens to this and whether it will come down to India, because this is going to be powering the new generation of C segment SUVs. Now, keep in mind, it's called the Arcana, the first one of these that's going to come out to the market. It's in Europe, of course. It's a coupe style SUV, looks quite impressive. And of course, it's how do I say this? It looks very similar to what the BMW X6 is, for that matter. That coupe SUV silhouette looks very attractive. But this small, compact 1.2 liter engine, it's going to be something quite amazing, because to power an SUV of that size, this is a fairly large, even though it's a C-segment SUV, it's a fairly large SUV. It looks pretty large, but it looks pretty bulky and quite luxurious also for that matter. But you've got an output of about 140 horsepower. So this 1.2, of course, will also go all the way up to about 200 horsepower as a full hybrid, and a plug-in hybrid will go up to about 280 horsepower. So it's a not just an efficient engine, but the depth, the diversity of performance that it can offer is just huge. Go all the way up to that 240 horsepower configuration. That's pretty amazing for a 1.2 liter engine to provide you with that. So this is essentially what Renault's plans are, and of course, alongside that, they've got a lot of brand campaigns coming up and several other things coming in. But the next generation, what we know, the next big thing from Renault for India, of course, would be the electric Quid, which we will see shortly. That's again that's on the cards, but again delayed because of the pandemic have pushed back all of those plans for a short time, and we will hear a lot more from them very, very soon. But what I do know is that Renault globally is quite impressed, quite kicked with the fact that even the Tiger has done well, the Quid before this did well, the Triber has done extremely well for the brand. So yes, for India, they will be approaching this one step at a time, and some of the products, they will go in like this. They use the Quid, then get the Triber, then the Tiger, and then slowly now the C segment SUV also will come out for India. Which what they have said is they're not entirely sure at this point if they will be getting in the new Duster into the market to replace the existing Duster. We are hoping that it happens, but very clearly the conference that they said is that they aren't very sure. They're just waiting to see how the market reacts to the Tiger, and if there's a very, very good response to that, then they probably move on, and the new Duster will be the next model. It could be the next model that's coming up.
Bert, you have to take us through the next two new spaces as well, the Ferrari and the drive-in facility.
Some excitement again from the world of supercars, hypercars. Ferrari has come out with, it is finally named the new hypercar, which is the 812 Competizione or Competition. Now, there are two versions of this. There is the hard top or the full metal top hypercar, and of course, there's also a Targa or a convertible version. But the big story here is phenomenal amounts of power with that engine. It's one of the most powerful V12s that the V12s have ever made. You've got about 830 horsepower coming out of this engine, and 0 to 100 in about 2.85 seconds. Very, very quick car. Now, there'll be a limited number of these cars that are being made. I think somewhere about 500 cars has been made for customers. Along with it, they've also opened up a new center in Modena, where they've got a customer club kind of a thing. The customers can come with their cars and drive some very exciting stuff. And this is exclusively or a very exclusive club for that matter. So cost of the car in Europe, in Italy, quite expensive, almost €500,000. Very, very expensive. But I mean, it's quite amazing. They will be like I said, very limited in numbers. 6.5 liter naturally aspirated V12, probably one of the large generation of V12s also that we will see coming out from there. Both whether it's with the 812 Competizione or the 812 Competizione A, which stands for Aperta or open top. Now, interestingly, all the models, like it says right there, they're already sold out. So, well, I don't know what the pandemic has brought about, but it definitely has affected the poor to the middle class. But the rich, of course, well, I don't see much. Wealth has only increased, and one of the proof of that is out here. The 812 Competizione has been sold out. So let's see. We're hoping to get a story in this someday. We don't know how it's going to pan out, but hopefully we'll try it someday when things open up globally. Another interesting fact about the new 812 Competizione is that full aluminium engine covers. Again, there's no perspex cover with them, so when you're sitting inside the car, there is no direct view to the rear view. There isn't a rear view mirror as such, like you know conventionally. But there are cameras which project an image onto a rear camera, and that's the only thing that gives you a view of what is behind your car. But most of the time, you won't be looking back simply because the car's just too damn fast on the roads.
All right, Bert, and we have to talk about the drive-in vaccination facility as well.
So we started off the drive-in vaccination facility in Mumbai, and from what I hear is that there's one that's opened up at the Kohinoor parking lot. This is in Dadar, and there are several more that are opening up around Mumbai. It's a fairly unique proposition that the Maharashtra government has put into place. It keeps people safe, so there isn't crowding in the sense that I have seen at some of the COVID centers. When I went to get my vaccination done, there was a huge queue of people out there, and that queue snaked for almost about 4 to 5 kilometers. Just went round in circles everywhere, and there were tons of people, and there was absolutely no social distancing even when they're coming for a vaccine. But this effectively makes it a little safer because people are still inside their cars, they're not allowed to get out. The only concern, of course, is that what you've seen is that this queue goes on for a very, very long distance, and because you're sitting in a car, it occupies a lot more real estate. So the queue really becomes fairly long. But as long as you're inside your car, just switch on your AC, sit comfortably, and it works. Now, like it says, over 400 people were already administered the COVID vaccine on the first day. Unfortunately, we've run out of vaccines again, and I think they aren't vaccinating any people at the drive-in centers as well, is what we hear very, very recently. Now, 8 doctors, 18 nurses have been deployed in this center. There are 2 booths where 50 vehicles each can wait in that queue, but of course the queues go on for much longer because the queue extends out onto the roads as well. And while people have parked reasonably well and smartly, of course, without trying to disrupt traffic, that queue still snakes on for a fairly long distance. Now they'll be setting up, Maharashtra government will be setting up 7 more centers, and this is inside Mumbai city alone. Andheri, Sports Club, Cooperage, Shivaji Stadium, Oval Maidan, M.A.D.E ground are some of these places where they're intending to open up these driving centers. Challenge is at some of these places, if there isn't in monsoon, especially if they're trying to do this inside some of the grounds, if there isn't enough parking space or if it's on some mud sections, I don't know how this will operate in the monsoons. But let's wait and watch and see. I'm sure they will have a plan. So far, whatever Maharashtra government has done inside the state has worked pretty efficiently. There's been optimum utilization of space, of manpower, of hospital beds, of oxygen supplies. Everything has been optimized brilliantly. I think this is again another model that should be replicated in some of the other cities and other places around India as well, which are facing a huge rush of COVID patients and people looking for vaccinations. This model works very well. let's hope some other cities in India adopt this model as well.
All right, over to you, Rohit, for big news from Ola Electric as well.
Yes, so another week, Ola again creating some news, and this time this news is from the design department. So Wayne Burgess, I don't know if you've heard that name, but if you're a car enthusiast, I think you might have heard that name. He's a designer who's given us cars like the Aston Martin DB9 and the Jaguar F type. So, some stunning sports cars there. And now he is going to be leading the vehicle design department for Ola Electric. So just a couple of weeks back when we discussed a few questions on the Overdrive digital show, we were talking about what other vehicles will Ola bring out. There is a possibility of an electric four-wheeler. There is a possibility of an electric motorcycle. They will, of course, begin operations with the electric scooter. That design is already established, and that scooter is already ready. But there is a whole lineup of new products that will come out from Ola, and this man will be in charge for designing all those vehicles. So Wayne Burgess is now with Ola. In fact, we also hear that Julian Thompson, who is one of the key people at Jaguar's design facility right now, one of the heads, he's also quit Jaguar. And there is a rumor that he too might join Wayne Burgess at Ola Electric. So that's still a rumor. We don't know how true that is. But yeah, there is quite a bit of action happening in the automotive design space, with even Pratap Bose now quitting Tata Motors, and rumors rife that he will mostly join Mahindra and be a part of the M.A.D.E that we just spoke of on this particular show. So that news is, of course, from Ola. We also have one small bit of news. The Aprilia RSV4 and the 210 V4, they have now been listed on the Aprilia India website. So if you are interested in the new motorcycle, the European reviews are already coming out on the interwebs. If you are excited about that motorcycle, you could get in touch with an Aprilia dealer, and you should be able to book yourself one if you want. The next bit, we have an interview, but before we get on to that interview, let me quickly tell you what it's about. So there's this new gadget that is being developed by Leo Burnett. Now, Leo Burnett, we all know, they are ad gurus. They have developed a new gadget in association with Acco Insurance. So both companies not having much to do with gadgets, but they are now building this new gadget, or at least the concept is ready. It's called StreetEye. So StreetEye essentially is a gadget that sits on top of your motorcycle, and it will scan the road for potholes. Now, it may not sound like a big deal on dry days, but during the rains, there are a lot of potholes that are waterlogged. People don't see them. Motorists don't, especially motorcycle and two-wheeler riders don't see them. And it has led to a lot of deaths in India. Even during the pandemic, there have been over 2,000 deaths is, what the statistics say, that even during the pandemic, 2,000 people have died purely because of, accidents that stem because of potholes. So this device could actually be one of the saviors, because while it does not stop the vehicle on its own, it at least lets the rider know that there is a pothole which may not be in their field of view at all. And that is one interesting concept, at least on paper. Bert had a chat with the people behind the StreetEye, and here's how the interview went.
Dheeraj, thank you for being on the show with us today, and for giving us your time to talk about StreetEye.
We realize is that potholes are a big menace, and especially in markets such as India. Now, one idea as to how do we prevent potholes, but we said and they lead to fatal accidents for bikers as well. So this is a device which you strap onto your bike, right? And it has LiDAR technology. So it maps upcoming potholes, and it alerts the riders of the bike about upcoming potholes so that you can navigate around it, and thereby preventing fatalities. So that's really the product that we are bringing. And we are doing this in collaboration with Acco, which is an insurance brand, and a large part of Acco's play is in bike insurance.
So, Dheeraj, tell me something. StreetEye, it's a device for the motorcycle consumers. Leo Burnett is an advertising firm. What's the connect? Where did the inspiration for a device of this sort come from?
Yeah. So, we've realized that the job of creativity is not just to, do TV ads or print ads or out of home ads. We realize that you can bring technology and creativity together to solve larger problems that people are facing, and brands can be part of solving these real problems.
Who is developing this technology for Leo Burnett? Is this something that was developed and designed and built in-house? Or do you have a technology partner who's providing you with this technology and enabling you to, kind of get this to market?
So within Leo Burnett, we have creative directors and their strategists who think of insights, and creative directors who think of ideas to solve the problems. We also have product designers. So this is largely been designed internally, thought through internally at Leo Burnett, but it's produced in partnerships with external vendors.
How does StreetEye actually work, Dheeraj? What does it do? How does it operate?
So this is very simple. You strap it onto your bike, right, and it uses lidar sensors to measure the depth of objects in front of you, and thereby it's able to spot the potholes which are submerged in water, and is able to alert you so you can bypass the pothole rather than hit it and get into an accident.
Okay. So who exactly is going to be your target audience? Is it general two-wheeler riders? Because this will depend on your pricing strategy as well. Or is it aimed at, initially start off with this niche group and then spread the word around and then, of course, get into mass managing this product? What is the strategy there?
Our first tie-up is with Acco Insurance, and this is going to be given to the customers of Acco two-wheeler insurance, and that'll be therefore the everyday riders who we find on the road. And then we'll see how we can kind of distribute this product and build economies of scale from there. The idea really is to make this available for the mass audience, because the people who are most vulnerable, who are most affected by this problem of potholes and accidents, are the people on the road. So we really want it to be available at a mass scale. And the more economies of scale we get, the more numbers we produce, we'll be able to bring the cost down as well. Yes.
All right. Is there an indicative price point for the StreetEye?
We are working on it. I'm not in a position to reveal that right now, but we're trying to get it as low as possible, because the idea is that for people to take advantage of it, and if possible, a great noble cause of saving lives, in fact.
And by when do you intend to getting it out in the market?
Before monsoons hit the road.
Hopefully, fingers crossed. The way situations are you positive that could happen, or will there be some delays?
So we've been pushed back a bit on our timelines because of the current lockdown, which we didn't anticipate at such a large scale. But we're still trying. We are talking to multiple vendors, and we are making good progress on that.
Dheeraj, I wish you all the best with this product, and I do hope it creates a change, enables riders to be a lot more safer on our roads.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
The video is up on our YouTube channel as well. You can revisit it. In fact, a very good, a very creative idea. We'll get back to our questions. Many are piling up, but here's one from Lakshmi Anshul Sharma. Recently, UK confirmed that they have made a flying suit which can fly a person for a speed of over 130 kilometers per hour. Do you think this can be a big competition to cars, bikes in the near future?
Well, no, this is not going to be competition for any sort of mobile device like a car or a motorcycle, for that matter, or for a bus or a train or anything. Because it'll be restricted by the range that we'll have. This could be this ideally works. We've recently seen a video circulating on social media about I think this is US soldier who kind of went flying around in a jetpack from his warship towards a small dinghy. But this does not have very long range, usability in that sense. So for short distances and for certain projects as well, keep that in mind. Where I think this will work very well is in the defense forces, for firefighting, for that matter, where fire tenders cannot reach, very high rises, for that matter, above a particular floor, they're not able to reach and douse fires. So this would work in those kind of situations. You have to get to a difficult a place where it will be very difficult for a four-wheeler to reach, any wheeled vehicle to reach, for that matter. Then something of this sort could probably make better sense, or would have an advantage there. But will it replace a car or a motorcycle? I don't think so. I don't think you're going to see people zipping around. Otherwise, in India, you'd be wearing more than a helmet. You'd be wearing a crash-proof suit all the time.
Alright, but here's a question from Shashank. He wants to know that MG is focusing on providing a lot of features to the customers in India, and many people are saying it's a Chinese company. So the word Chinese, could it fail MG in the Indian market?
Again, let's look at it from the perspective that it doesn't have to do with whether it's a Chinese company or a European company or an American company. At the end of the day, look at the product and evaluate the product purely on the product's merits. Is it a well-built product? Does it offer the right set of features? Is it reliable? Is the quality up to the mark? And what is the performance and efficiency like? And of course, what pricing is the vehicle? How is the vehicle priced? I think that's all that matters over here at the end of the day. Chinese company, yes, but you could also say that Volvo, for instance, today, Volvo is also owned by a Chinese company, even though MG is owned by a Chinese company as well. But again, no one questions Volvo at the end of the day. I don't see why you need to question MG about that. Will it fail in the Indian market? I don't see it. They've got good products. They've got smart products. They've positioned them in the right spaces as well at the right price points. They're great on features, and I think this company has got a fairly good amount of potential to increase their range of products in India. Will get a lot of people excited. I'm seeing a lot of people enjoying driving their Hectors, for instance. Quite a few of them have also started picking up the Gloucester also. So people are enjoying their products. I think they are here to stay, and well, let's see what they have to come out with in the future. All I want is for a manufacturer of that sort, and I do know that a lot of these components come from China, and China's only policy is that the quality of these products, reliability, longevity, isn't the best. We've seen this in the past in some other manufacturers as well, which have imported Chinese parts. And I think that's the only question mark over here. We just need to understand how reliable are these products. So far, I haven't heard much in terms of, very poor quality. And most customers have been fairly okay and are quite happy with their product for that matter. There are the odd instances where people are quite disenchanted or of course quite upset about what they have purchased, but this happens with every other manufacturer as well. Keep in mind, even Mercedes-Benz did have a customer who took his car over to the dealership and burnt it down simply because he was pissed with the kind of service and quality levels that were there in the car. So it could happen to anybody, but these are random incidents. These happen very rarely. Overall, though, I think MG is here to succeed in India as well.
All right. Based on recent reports, Jasha Number wants to know how excited are you about Pratap Bose moving to Mahindra and Mahindra?
How excited am I about? How excited about am I? Well, I think I'm not really excited in that sense. I think he'll do a good job. I would definitely like to see him bringing about some amount of diversity in his design languages. I certainly don't want to see what he's done at Tata Motors to carry on towards that to Mahindra. I'm definitely not looking forward to some of his Infinity lines and various lines that he's called. I'm looking to see what kind of diversity he brings. More importantly, to his design language, I don't want to see a repetition of a slightly different or a more rugged-looking Tata at Mahindra, and that's essentially what I think is if he's going to be there. Mahindra, this is all a lot of speculation. Speaking to Rajesh Jujurikar this morning, and he said that it's a lot of speculation, and until a formal announcement is made, I'm not going to say much about whether he is moving there or not. Keep in mind some of the reports that came in, and how we know this is from a report that broke out earlier today, or rather yesterday actually, about him moving there. But that report also has been modified and refined again. There is speculation that he is moving there. What we do know is that Mahindra Automotive Design Excellence Center in the UK, in the Midlands, has opened up, and of course, a lot of the design work is going to be shifted from, is going to be spread out from Pininfarina to the new Mahindra Design Center. Various other design centers they've got spread out across the world. Now, will Pratap Bose head that or not? We'll just wait for official communication to come in from them, and well, let's see. Once that is done, we'll know what exactly can be expected. What we do know is that the next generation of SUV that is coming out from Mahindra, those have already been signed and sealed off on, and it's just a matter of when they're going to be launched in the market, which we're going to see over the next year, for that matter, including some of their electric vehicles as well. So if Pratap Bose is going there, some of his work will take some time, so we probably will see this about 3 to 4 years from now.
But we have a very good question from Dodo Samuel. He wants to know, do you foresee significant issues in the industry due to oxygen crisis or the pandemic, given the fact that manufacturers are jumping in to help in the lack of oxygen?
Well, there are several issues over here, Dodo, and of course, one of them is yes, a lot of manufacturers have shut down their plants and shifted, or rather, they haven't shut down the plants to shift over to oxygen production. That's the wrong thought there. They have shut down the plant because yes, COVID has spread amongst their employees. A lot of people up in the north or wherever across India, for that matter, have fallen sick, and a lot of their employees are affected. And yet, just to prevent the virus from spreading further, they have shut down plants, they've shut down operations for a while. What they're doing at the moment is is undergoing maintenance, and which usually happens once a year. So they preponed all of those activities, and they're undergoing that maintenance at this point in time. And that is essentially what has happened now. As the shutdown also has been put into place, they are of course diverting some of their attentions towards manufacturing of oxygen and providing whoever requires it for that matter. Now, it's not an easy process. First of all, they're not in a situation where they can, give out they produce huge volumes of oxygen. It's just that whatever was being used by them, that oxygen has been diverted towards for medical purposes, and that's about it. It's not like manufacturers are getting or jumping into manufacturing oxygen as such. So just the oxygen that whatever they were using has been diverted towards other purposes, towards more medical purposes, to substantiate whatever requirement is there out at the hospitals and other places. So yes, this is going to affect the supply chains. This is going to affect production, and this is going to affect sales as well. But it's not just the pandemic or the COVID scare that is brought about this. There is also, keep in mind, the semiconductor shortage that is affecting everywhere, everyone, and everybody across the globe. All manufacturers are faced with this issue. In fact, on yesterday's press conference with Renault, this is one of the points that was brought about, is that semiconductor shortage is definitely affecting even their supply chain. So everyone across the world has been disturbed by this. This has put the entire automotive industry globally. It's set them back by a few months, almost 6 months. So delays are there everywhere across the globe, for that matter, and most manufacturers are fighting, or rather struggling, to kind of reduce these delays and get back on track, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. So this, and of course the COVID is what is going to delay a lot of manufacturing, a lot of sales in domestic markets as well as international markets.
All right, but here's a question from Nitin Joshua. Considering the Fabia gets 1.5 TSI plus DSG, can we expect a new mid-size sedan to get the same? It helps distinguish from the existing Rapid with a 1 liter TSI.
Well, there is no mid-size. There is no new mid-size sedan or anything as such. What we do know is that there is a new sedan coming up, which is the Vento replacement, so Skoda will be using that. Of course, that's the notchback that is coming out in the market. It's not exactly a replacement. That's what, at least what Skoda or Volkswagen are saying. It's not a replacement for their existing sedans. This is a completely new sedan and may be positioned very, very differently from what the existing sedans, where the existing sedans are, for that matter. Now, the 1.5 TSI plus DAG, can we expect to get the new sedans to get the same? Yes, we can expect the new sedans to get these new range of engines, because these new range of engines are effectively what are there available in the market. It's powering their new compact SUVs also, for that matter. So you will continue to see these, and even the 1 liter TSI, those also will be offered with these new sedans, and that's the last move. Now, this was supposed to happen end of 2021, or rather early 2022 is what we know is when these plans are supposed to take effect. Again, all that has been delayed substantially. But more than that, there have been a lot of questions coming in also about the Fabia coming out in the market. There's been a lot of speculation about this. There is nothing confirmed at this point in time. I can tell you that the Fabia was not on the cards anytime to come down to India anytime soon. Any of the decisions that will be taken will only be taken much later in the year. And if we see the Fabia coming into India, of course, it may come in, but if it does, it's not going to come in 2022. It could be mid to late 2022 if it comes out at all.
All right. Kabir Advani wants to know any updates on the WagonR EV and similar cars in the sub 6 or 7 lakh rupee on-road segment.
Well, there are a lot of updates. We will have a story on this very, very shortly as to what's happening on all the cars that are expected in the market, that are scheduled. a lot of products have been delayed for a while. The Wagoner EV, one amongst them, it will be coming out, but again, there is no timeline on this. A lot of plans have been deferred for later, when the situation is right, when the sentiment also is right to kind of celebrate and launch new products in the market. But there are these cars. A lot of these cars are all in the pipeline, and we will keep getting information to you when the lockdown comes off, when we're able to move around a little more freely, and when we're able to actually get and attend these launches.
Rohit, there's a question for you from Aniket. He wants to know that Bajaj has not given the NS 125 ABS, although a smaller bike from them, the Platina, has it.
Well, yeah, that is really surprising. But I don't think that's going to be around for too long. We have seen test mules of the NS 125 with the ABS as well. So I don't think that should be a concern for too long. There will be an ABS variant out soon.
All right. Should we go ahead and answer the winners? I mean,
Yeah,
sorry, announce the winners.
I'm going to put this question to Rohit and Ashley. This is also asked by Aniket Pal. What he essentially says is, did Honda discontinue the 10th gen Civic so that they can bring the 11th gen and be on par with other markets still get the new Civic? Let's see what answer you have for it.
Sorry, I didn't. There was some glitch in the audio. I didn't hear you clearly. What is the question?
Did Honda discontinue the 10th generation Civic so that they could bring the 11th gen one? We've just seen that recently, and be on par with other markets which will get the new Civic.
Well, very frankly, Aniket, I think that the Civic that they brought to India, it was after a lot of pressure on the company because just to sort of do a quick flashback, they came out with the Brio, they came out with the Amaze, all those small cars that were based on the Brio, and somewhere after their customer clinics, they realized that the perception of the market towards Honda was changing. Honda always was a premium player, and then suddenly, because of these sub-4 meter vehicles that they were building, and even cars like the BRV for that matter, that premium factor had somewhere, it was lost, and that is the reason why the CRV was brought back. That is the reason why the Civic was brought back. That was one of the reasons why those vehicles came back. But did they bring in any numbers? Not really. Not too many numbers at all. But yes, there is the 11th generation Civic that has been shown outside. The Civic is not manufactured in India. It was never manufactured in India, the 10th generation Civic that was here. And now with that 2500 unit rule where you can bring in a particular model and restrict it to less than 2500 units, and you will not need any kind of homologation. With the kind of numbers that the 10th generation Civic got, Honda could probably use that particular rule now to their advantage and bring in their newer vehicles in that rule, because again, those numbers were, I doubt if they really crossed 2500 ever. So if they didn't, then maybe the 11th generation Civic can now make sense. It can come under that rule for people who want them. So if they wanted to be a part of the portfolio to safeguard their premium image, they should be able to do that with the Civic, maybe a new CRV, the new Accord. They could do that with all these vehicles. So I think they would exploit that, and maybe the 11th generation Civic could just come to India again. But will there be a market for it? I don't know. For example, Skoda is betting big on that particular segment. The new Octavia is coming, and they are making a lot of noise about it. And not just them, but even the market is making a lot of inquiries about that new car. So I don't know if that segment is really that strong with SUVs taking over literally every other segment in every other price bracket. So I'm not very sure. I'm not very sure if it will be a lucrative proposition for Honda.
So I have another opinion on this also. 1 minute. I have another opinion on this also. And while Honda, which I believe is that Honda will not get the next generation Civic, also because that segment where it exists in that entry D segment sedan, that segment is diminishing rapidly. There are very few takers. While Skoda also likes to say that yes, it's a gung-ho segment and the Octavia is there with, I think even the Octavia's numbers have dropped considerably. There aren't too many people going to the Octavia as well. The other, of course, being the other and the more popular one in that segment used to be the Corolla, and nobody's become the Corolla numbers, but the Corolla also have diminished considerably. So most of people's attention have moved towards the SUV, which is the Creta, the Seltos, the Hector, and various other SUVs that exist in that space, which provide a lot of consumers better value. So no one's really looking forward to buying those kind of sedans, and that may also be one of the reasons. Keep in mind, Honda discontinued not because of any other reason, but because the Civic was just not selling in this market, and it was a great car for that matter. The 11th generation Civic also is a good car, looks great, but that could possibly be exclusively for the North American markets also. So I don't know how much of sense will it come, with the numbers the way they are. It just doesn't make sense to get that product to the Indian market to sell what, probably a few dozen units. Maybe at best a dozen units a month. It's a very, very tough call. So I don't see Honda bringing down that product to India again. And I think the sedan market in that space also, that segment, is also dying out very, very quickly. Skoda's range isn't very, very large for that matter. So they are trying to offer as much as they can in India, and that includes the Octavia and its RS variant also at some point in time. But keep in mind, they don't have a very, very large and wide portfolio. The Fabia may not come. They've got the sedan also that will come out, the notchback for that matter, and then they've got the SUVs, and that's about it. So for Honda, there's a larger plan, but again, if it doesn't make sense for them to come down to India with a sedan of that order, they will not.
All right, but it's time to announce the winners of this week's show.
Well, I think four of the more interesting questions we've got today came in from, I'll just give you the names. Aniket Pal, of course. One is the Honda question. This is the question that you asked, and well, congratulations. We are happy to announce that you are one of the winners to get an annual subscription to the OVERDRIVE digital magazine. Shashank is the other one. MG mainly focusing on Indian market, and the word Chinese, because it's the word Chinese, can that fail in the Indian market? Lakshmi Anshul Sharma, good question. Recently, UK confirmed that they made a flying suit. Can a person fly for a particular distance? And will it replace cars or motorcycles or two-wheelers for that matter? And Rahul Samil, who asked the question about the lights for mopeds. Usually, even in city, people use high beam that blinds someone coming from the opposite side. Are we compromising safety of other riders here for light throw/looks? So I think these are the more interesting questions that were asked today. I still don't see any other questions. I think we've more or less come to the end of this week's show as well. And well, yeah, Sohini, on to you. We need to send an email. People who won need to send an email across. So please do that. And yeah, Sohini, take us through. Sorry, we can't hear you, Sohini. You're on mute.
Sorry, just drop in an email on digitalshow@overdrive.co.in. Congratulations once again. Aniket Pal, you won it for the second time. So congratulations to you as well. You do send us very interesting questions. Other people need to buck up. And, if you want the annual subscription, you have to work a little harder to impress us. Before we sign out though, let's take a look at what we have on the show for you on CNBC TV 18.
Aniket Pal has already won a subscription.
That's what I said for.
Yeah, sorry, instead of the 4. Sorry, Mike, I was just going through the first story. I didn't hear you.
No, that's what I said. 19th March is when he won a subscription already. All right. So we'll just take a look at what we have on the show on CNBC TV 18 tomorrow 1 p.m. A longer version of the story you just saw at the start, the ZX-10R Rohit story. A chat with Bhavesh Agarwal on Ola Electric's hypercharger network, and more about pothole detection device for two-wheelers, StreetEye on OVERDRIVE at 1 p.m. tomorrow, Sunday 12:30 and 8 p.m. You can also catch the repeat telecast, and the show also streams live on CNBC TV 18 Live TV. That's it from us then. From this week, we'll see you next week as well.
Now, guys, stay safe, stay indoors. The pandemic, the virus hasn't gone away as of yet, and all I can advise is that there's been a lot of professionals in the automotive industry who've been hit very badly, for that matter. A lot of manufacturers, a lot of employees working for them have been affected, especially in the northern belt of India. And now that wave is sweeping across India, it's headed down for the south. Chennai and Bangalore are also getting hit very badly. So do take care, stay in, stay safe, wear a mask if you're going out, sanitize, of course, and maintain social distances. We have stayed indoors for a while now, and I know our feet are getting itchy to get out, try something, write something, get you some stories. Unfortunately, we don't have to me. A lot of these stories were banked much earlier, but we will try and get you something next week as well and see if that's possible. But do bear with us in the meantime. You also stay safe out there. I just keep getting bad news almost every day. Just today itself, in fact, just in the middle of the show, I got some bad news about some close family friends, and it just gets worse every hour, every minute. So stay safe. Don't be foolhardy. Don't venture out. It's not worth it. Just stay indoors.
I think the maximum we should all do is change our names to Wanderers. So it'll be Bert Wanderer, Rohit Wanderer, and Sohini Wanderer joining next week on the show. See you guys.
Right. See you
Take
guys.
care.
Have a safe. Have a nice
Take
weekend.
care.